Shadowing Gunn, the fans who don't exist. Chapter 1. James Gunn's antics since taking over as co-head of DC Studios with his frequent collaborator Peter Safran has been nothing short of a nightmarish roller coaster of events for fans of the DC brand. Not only has Gunn created a toxic culture surrounding the studio, but he has managed to alienate just about everybody who was previously invested in these comic book movies. When Gunn announced his alleged upcoming slate for his and Peter's DCU, it should have generated excitement, invigorating fans. Instead, it has done the complete opposite. Every movie release since Gunn and Safran got control has flopped disastrously, and the current total has lost Warner Brothers Discovery, the equivalent of enough money to start a small independent film studio. The first DC film to suffer from what I will refer to as the Gunn effect was Black Adam, released in October 2022. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson had a plan for DC. Working through 7 Bucks Productions, Johnson had managed to give the people what they wanted in the form of the long-awaited return of actor Henry Cavill in the role of Superman. The bulk of this topic is covered in my upcoming book, Paused Not Stopped, the true story of Release the Snyder Cut and Restore the Snyderverse. Suffice it to say, Gunn and Safran were not interested in the plans The Rock wanted to implement, and they expediently brought any momentum to a dead stop before Black Adam could have a chance to make a positive impact for the future of DC on film. Black Adam managed to pull in $393,252,111 at the box office worldwide, according to Box Office Mojo, making it currently the highest-grossing DC movie to release under Gunn and Safran's watch. The irony is not lost on the fact that this is the movie Gunn and Safran did the least with regards to promotion. It makes me wonder if Gunn will ever put the DC brand ahead of his own ego. If I were a betting person, I would go with absolutely not. Moving into Shazam, Fury of the Gods, Gunn's loudmouthed buddy, actor and star of the movie Zachary Levi could not stop putting his foot in dog shit. From taking shots at other better filmmakers to having the balls to attack DCEU fans, actually blaming them for his failure. Box Office Mojo puts the worldwide total for that steaming pile of toxic horse manure at $133,838,006. Levi is an embarrassment to the craft of acting. He is a petty, talentless, and whorish suck-up. He went on a lavish ski trip with DC Studios co-CEO Peter Safran to beg like a dog for the chance to be included in the newly minted upcoming DCU. Complete with social media selfies and ridiculous photo ops, with the laughable box office and complete lack of interest from the movie-going audience, I think it's safe to say Levi will have some sort of role in the DCU. After all, Gunn and Safran are not about making money and pleasing the audience. They are only concerned with themselves. They cater to their friends in extremely small circles of like-minded idiots who don't buy movie tickets, live the life of eternal keyboard warriors, and hypocritically attack people online who do not support James Gunn, while they don't financially support him either. The paradoxical element of Gunn's alleged fans will be covered more later. To conclude this chapter, I need to mention that I feel bad for David F. Sandberg. He is a competent filmmaker whose creativity was sacrificed through the regime changes at WBD. Almost every director working on movies for DC in recent years has had to undergo some form of manipulation, changes, and/or nonsense due to the studio having a too many chefs in the kitchen, film by committee mentality. Sandberg is respectable, kind to fans, and has demonstrated a level of class I wish his leading man Zachary Levi had learned from. So while the poor box office of Fury of the Gods is entirely well-deserved, David F. Sandberg deserves better. I wish him well in all his future endeavors. As for Levi, hopefully everything he does from here on out flops worse than Fury of the Gods. In fact, Gunn and Safran should not hesitate to cast him in a leading role for the DCU. They are a bunch of certified goofs cut from the same cloth who undoubtedly deserve each other. They will all sink or swim in whatever waters fate has deemed them worthy. In the next chapter, I will cover The Flash, Blue Beetle, and the upcoming Aquaman sequel. Chapter 2. The Flash should have been a better movie. The Flash would have been a better movie. The Flash could have been a better movie. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. In my opinion, James Gunn is more than half of the reason The Flash flopped. The Scarlet Speedster's theatrical run ended with a pitiful worldwide total of $268,533,313 according to Box Office Mojo. This is sad for a number of reasons. Firstly, Andy Muschietti set out to create a fun and satisfying movie that would honor not just the concluding DCEU, but DC history as a whole. Rumors have been swirling around online with regards to a director's cut of The Flash. According to MovieWeb.com, The Flash director confirms a 4-hour cut exists. Though not surprising given the Warner Brothers' way of butchering filmmakers' visions, what is surprising is the amount of great storytelling elements and a much-anticipated cameo removed from the film at the orders of James Gunn. I am talking about the cameo of DCEU Superman Henry Cavill. We know for a fact that Muschietti shot scenes with Henry that were very much intended to be in the theatrical cut. And while we did not get to see any of those scenes, thanks again to Gunn, we can all celebrate the fact that we did get a head-scratching ending with George Clooney reprising his role as Bruce Wayne from 1997's Batman and Robin. Gunn's decision to end The Flash with Barry Allen stuck in a variant of the Clooneyverse was probably funny to him. While I didn't personally mind seeing Clooney return, I take issue with him being there at the expense of other, better-filmed material. Just like the Henry Cavill scenes that were deleted, the same is true with some absolutely epic Ben Affleck Batman material that potentially set up future plot points for DCEU movies that will never get made. Related to this, we also had more Supergirl and Michael Keaton Batman scenes. The ideal solution would be for the director's cut to see a home video release sometime after WBD gets sold off to a company that sees the value in the property and does not treat the fanbase like a joke. Just like with Fury of the Gods, The Flash suffers because of James Gunn. The irony here is that The Flash is a multiverse movie, so literally anything is possible from a storyline perspective. All of the deleted cameos or plot points setting up projects we wouldn't see should have been safe. Throw everything into this movie and end the DCEU in a triumphant, respectful way. This wasn't what Gunn had in mind. Evidently, it was more important to him to sabotage the DCEU and make these movies as unprofitable as humanly possible. Not even glowing paid reviews from Stephen King, Tom Cruise, or James Gunn himself would save The Flash. The general audience was confused by all of Gunn's antics and reboot hyping. If James Gunn really has such a strong fan base with people craving his vision, these movies would be successful. After all, he is the architect of the DCU, and he has all the power controlling what is in or out. So why don't Gunn's fans support him in his role as co-head of DC Studios? I have some ideas on how to answer that question. The first thing we have to understand is that James Gunn has no real DC fanbase. The people that support him online are trolls, bots, and instigators who get off on attacking people and chasing after easy targets. They like Gunn because he acts like they do. Childish, immature, and mind-numbingly stupid. They treat him like a damsel in distress, rushing to defend his honor at the slightest hint of negativity towards him. They don't pay to see his movies, though. There is no financial support from these keyboard warriors. Gunn's MCU audience are Marvel fans who support Marvel projects. I would argue that they are not interested in his DCU any more than Snyderverse or DCEU fans are interested. Gunn's DCU audience does not exist. The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker were not financially successful for WBD. I will grant the small group of Gunn fans one tiny win with regards to Gunn's movie and TV show, receiving some good reviews critically and among their Gunn-loving peer groups. But so what? Rewarding Gunn for a box office bomb and a middle-of-the-road TV show seems more than a little ridiculous, and smells of a fishy incompetence on the part of his employer. If Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav really wanted to protect the DC brand, he should start by getting his house in order. After 4 consecutive flops, Gunn and Safran have proven to be more of a liability than an asset. Those two men have defiled any goodwill the movie-going audience had left. There is no confidence in DC as a brand anymore. How is that not obvious to Zaslav at this point? I plan to talk next about Blue Beetle, but it's so brain-dead for Gunn and Safran to remain in power when they have lost the studio so much money and managed to completely alienate the general audience just as much as DC's biggest supporters. If running DC into the ground is not the plan Zaslav had in mind, then like the head coach of a defeated football team after a horrendous losing season, it's time to make changes at the top. This won't get any better for DC Studios with James Gunn and Peter Safran at the helm. Blue Beetle currently sits at $43,630,225 worldwide, according to Box Office Mojo. This is perhaps the most significant indicator of all the movies to come out under Gunn and Safran for the success level of Superman Legacy and their planned DCU. Gunn heavily promoted Blue Beetle as being his first DCU character. He praised director Angel Manuel Soto and lead actor Solo Maridueña, going as far to confirm that while the Blue Beetle movie is not canon, the character definitely is. So where were all those supporters who run with Gunn? I guess they could not be bothered to take a break from attacks and death threats this weekend to buy a movie ticket. The dismal box office underscores that Gunn's DCU fanbase does not exist. They will watch Blue Beetle for free when they can download it through torrent on the internet. Pathetic. The final DCEU film is slated to be released in December 2023. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is a sequel directed by James Wan to his $1 billion Jason Momoa-led Aquaman from 2018. There have been a ton of rumors surrounding Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom being severely micromanaged by the studio. A victim of multiple changing regimes that was supposed to connect to the greater DCEU, but will now reportedly be a standalone story. Allegedly, this film has been changed so many times over the years that James Wan himself has no idea what the theatrical cut will be like. This is pretty horrible considering the success of the first Aquaman. Ironically, that movie is the main reason Peter Safran with James Gunn are in charge at DC Studios now. There is no hype surrounding Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The movie is tracking to perform just as poorly at the box office as the rest of the 2023 releases. This will likely be another film ignored by the Gunn fans who don't exist. When I posted on Twitter X about why Gunn supporters were not showing up for these movies Gunn has been promoting, I received a variety of responses, most of which were people attacking and/or insulting me, or telling me to kill myself, which automatically invalidates them. However, some people actually said things along the lines of, well, Gunn didn't direct any of these movies. I read that on Twitter X more than once, and that sentiment should prove alarming to Zaslav, Gunn, and Safran, because they are betting everything on their upcoming DCU, and Gunn will not be directing every project. Blue Beetle is the logical measuring stick for the DCU's potential success. Safran produced it, Gunn endorsed it, and is including the character in the DCU. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has no chance of success by comparison. The point being, Blue Beetle is the biggest flop yet, and the only movie that will connect in any way with what is to come following Superman Legacy. It is going to take so much work for whomever buys Warner Bros. Discovery to try and win back moviegoers again. Even if the tiny subset of Gunn fans show up for Superman Legacy, the hardcore DC fans will not. Those who love the Snyderverse and DCEU will not. Most importantly, the general audience will not. James Gunn and Peter Safran's DCU is DOA.